PK, the University of Utah, is putting up a ring of honor to honor football players and coaches, and they are going to start with Alex Smith. And they've set some standards. You got to meet one of the required criteria, which includes own school records, a consensus All-American, playing 10 or more years in the NFL, and coaching a team to at least 2 conference championships, among others.
So there's other stuff too?
Apparently.
That's pretty steep.
They want it to be an exclusive club. You're not a big fan of rooting for people when they go on to the NFL. I can't imagine you're a big fan of the playing 10 or more years in the NFL.
I think that's irrelevant to what they're trying to do here. I like the idea. Honor your past as much as possible. I mean, you don't want to get silly with it, but if you have an opportunity, honor them, the teams, the individuals. The fans love that stuff. You bring the kid, well, he's a man, woman, whatever it might be at that time. And they come back. And they show him on the scoreboard. Anytime, whenever Alex Smith will show up and he's standing on the sideline in the end zone and they put him on the big screen, the place goes nuts. Right? You saw it. Dave Rose would show up at the Marriott Center occasionally. They'd put him on the screen. He'd get a rousing applause.
People love it.
Jerry Sloan. Whoever it might be, right? They do. So, and for the hardcore, that's a part of who you are. You know, like this Jazz 50 thing. For the folks who grew up here and have been Jazz fans their whole life, I'm sure that would be an awesome thing to watch. You know, that's not me, but for them, yeah. So honor them. But I don't know about the 10-year NFL career. What are they trying to accomplish there? A 10-year NFL career is awesome, obviously. But how does that relate to Utah? If you have a 10-year NFL career, shouldn't you have met something along the lines of their qualifications there?
You'd like to think, but I guess that does give them a certain amount of a do-over if someone didn't set a school record or wasn't a consensus All-American.
Well, make some kind of record. Most good times in the season.
Most.
I mean, I guess like offensive linemen can't really set records.
So that gets tricky.
But if they have a Jordan Gross, do I need him to be, if he only got 9 years, you're out? Wasn't he a first-round draft? Was just one guy came to mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he started like every game in the NFL he was healthy for.
Now, he probably made it anyway, but isn't that good enough?
How is this different than the Crimson Club Hall of Fame? Is that going to be a lower standard? And I realize that's for multiple sports. It's
I was going to say
across the board.
I think that's the thing.
But football players can go into the Crimson Club Hall of Fame. They have
specific, I believe.
But this is going to be more elite than the football players in the Crimson Club.
Now, you'd have to ask the individual. Which honor would they think is more important? They'd probably say, "Oh, I love them both. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me." Yeah. I would think all of those folks who are in the Ring of Honor would also be in the other thing.
It does say that every inductee into the Ring of Honor also must have been inducted in the Crimson Club Hall of Fame.
So they have to have been in before?
Yep. Must have been. So, yes, past tense. Must have been inducted into the Crimson Club Hall of Fame, graduated from a 4-year institution, or attended the U for at least 3 years. That one gets tricky. Remember that when they started hanging the numbers in the rafters and at the U, and they had the standard you had to go there 4 years, and then college basketball changed, and the best players weren't staying 4 years anymore.
Well, the only one is Bogut, though.
Yeah.
That's it. They made an exception for Bogut, which I don't understand why they did that.
Because he was the number 1 pick in the draft.
So what?
And they went to the Sweet 16, and they wanted to honor him.
You can't tell me that Bogut meant more to the University of Utah than Mike Doliak did. Ed Doliak didn't get it.
Which seems like a big omission.
That bothered me.
Given the leadership he provided.
Right. I was there for Doliak's 4 years, obviously.
Right.
And then he stayed in the community for a good while.
Yeah.
I believe
Van
he lives
Horn-
up in Montana now.
Yeah. Van Horn was so good, and they were Elite Eight, and Van Horn left, and it didn't seem like there was any way that, man, you lose that kind of talent. Number 2 in the draft. And Doliak was resolute from day one. Our goal is always to go one round further in the tournament than went the year before. Keith's gone. Our goal is always to go one round. It was like he was just going to demand it.
What would have been interesting if they would have, if Doliak would have only been a junior, what would have been the goal? And they won it. What would have been the goal the following
If
year?
they had won it, yeah.
But you can't go any more beyond what they win.
I've
But you have
seen
to think about, they've got teams that got knocked out in the Sweet 16 that have multiple jerseys retired, multiple names, and yet from the Final Four, they've only got one.
One. But the legends over here went out in 16.
I haven't slept well since.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the.
I know, but I just wanted to say it. So I think that I think they got to go rather than some hard and fast rules.
They have to be
some
guidelines, yeah,
and be willing to adapt. Doliak, to me, should have, and you can argue Alex Jensen for that matter. Now, or they could have gotten by putting the team up there. Sometimes they'll do that, and then they'll have a banner with each of the individuals' names who are on the team.
That's the way around it. But again, guidelines, and then react to the situation. Especially in football where you can be really good and then injuries keep you from playing the 10 years
Shouldn't
in the NFL.
Scally be on that list?
Scally would be an excellent candidate for that list. Given
Who
what he's done
represents
as a player.
UVU football more
given what
than
he's
Morgan
done
Scally?
as a player and a coach.
That would be no one. There's not a single soul who represents U of U football more than Scally.
Who bleeds red more than him?
There's nobody.
Sharif.
No.
Played and coached.
Nothing against Sharif.
Right. But he didn't grow up down the street. He grew up in Southern California.
And you can argue that they're tied, but no one's more. I just wish before they would do things,
they'd consult you?
yes. So silly sometimes.